Hello everyone, this is Zerda with Zerda MTG and I'm back at it again today with another historic gameplay video. So looking at this hand, it isn't the best. We're missing a hammer and a way to equip, but we do have a Seasoned Hollowblade. We have the Core Blade Master for if we find any equipment at all, so even Shadow Spear. We have a Dive Down. And we do have a way to actually equip a hammer should we find one, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Opponent takes a mole. Trying to start getting the hand arranged by the order we want to cast our spells in. Get down the Hollowblade and be very, very sad about having to pass manually every turn for the rest of the game. Not bad. In fact, I'd say I'm quite happy with that draw. Alright, 4 damage and a card draw. So here I can either take my Scry, which I think I'm going to, or shock in another threat. Yeah, I think I'm going to get my Scry while my Scrying is good. You know, Staggering Insight is not bad either. And I do believe that at least for now that's going to be the last land I play. I do want to try and keep cards I'm happy to discard in my hand, and, well, not going to be much happier than discarding lands once we've hit what we need to cast any spell in our deck. Do have some debate here on if I want to play River Sneak and wait a turn and equip the Staggering Insight to it, or if I want to just get more card draw with the Seasoned Hollowblade and try and continue pushing through. If my opponent puts an Uro in their graveyard this turn, that'll... Oh, that's it? Okay. This doesn't feel like they have a... Can't think of the name of the card right now. Brazen Borrower to me, but I'm gonna play as if they do. And I'm gonna go with the slower route. Not get too greedy here. Still able to hold up Dive Down. And I end my turn. Wonder what they're doing here. Also, with only one Lotus Cobra out, I suppose it... No, that's the same as just having... No, it's right for them to do that. They could have drawn into another Lotus Cobra to save it and then make the Lotus Cobra technically free. Alright. So they're gearing up for a very big turn next turn. Meaning because I don't really have a way to beat an Ugin once it's down. The plan is kind of to try and erase it, but that doesn't look like it's happened this game. I am still going to Staggering Insight though. I do need, after all, to get in as much damage as I possibly can here. In the vain attempt to manage to do anything, don't think I'm gonna quite manage it though. Now I'm playing another land here, as you can see, otherwise I would have had to start discarding. Maybe having the extra land will convince them to do something other than Ugin. Oh, and they did! Alright, don't hit an Ugin and I am happy. Alright, I'm fine with all of that. Or am I? No, I think those lands will let them also drop the Ugin this turn. Oh well. It was a hard-fought game, but it looks like the opponent is going to take it. Yep, there's the Ugin. So if they -2 here, then they've just got it. I wonder what they're doing. Alright. Cracking both of their fabled passages. Omnath, that is completely fine. You gonna -2 there then? There we go. Nope, Skydiver isn't gonna be part of any winning game plan here. Pretty sure there is no winning game plan here, but I'm gonna play it out until they manage to get above 10 life. I guess I'll lead on a Thieving Skydiver. Something that'll actually put any amount of pressure on the board. And if they go to shoot it, I'll dive down. So now if they can just get to the Omnath ability, which they did. Alright, I'm gonna call that game here. That's not gonna be something I can beat. Because in the best case scenario, my Skydiver still dies. But you did see that the power of the backup plan there is pretty good. Just this deck is completely incapable of beating a Resolved Ugin. If your opponent proceeds to downtick a few times, you're just gonna lose. Alright, and let's see. We're only missing the hammer here. I don't like it. We don't have another power piece, but we're gonna keep. Hopefully our first draw is hammer. No, not the worst, but could definitely do better. I think we'll deploy a Thieving Skydiver and Staggering Insight onto it. Unless, of course, it becomes necessary to deploy the Hollow Blade. Which it did not. Oh, if only I could have more mana available to me and steal their arc bow. Alas. Bant. Okay. Staggering Insight onto our Skydiver and get in there. Gain some life, draw a card. It's almost like an arrow. And I'll shock this in. It's like an arrow that does way less damage, but can't be blocked as easily, so oh, that'll resolve. Hopefully they target the skydiver. They did, without thinking about why I shocked. This is going to be a problem, though, because it looks like they're playing a pretty interactive deck. I'll hit them again, though. Not bad. I think that means I'll deploy Seasoned Hollowblade and Shadow Spear. Next turn I'm able to Core Blade Master plus Resolute Strike. And that's some pretty respectable damage. I imagine they're going to take out the Skydiver. Alright, let's see if we can draw something better. No? Not to worry. I do like drawing the second strike here. Oh, just a friend messaging me. And we will go ahead and Resolute Strike, get that double strike 6-4, and do some work. There we go. Cards in their yard, only 3. Alright. What are they doing? My turn. Alright, don't mind if I do. Very, very nervous about how much mana they have up here. But I don't think that's going to stop me from putting the Staggering Insight on my Seasoned Hollowblade. This can very easily be a blowout, but it can just as easily spell game over. Suppose it could have either way, but still have a strike onto Blade Master. Emil the Blessed, I think that's game over. Yes, I do believe it is. It's still game, opponent. There we go. And there is the lethal. Alright, and there you see that even without a hammer, just getting some of our synergies going can be very, very strong. And Seasoned Hollowblade is a very good attacker. Bit unfortunate for our opponent that they managed to whiff there, but that's just kind of one of the things that can happen to you when you're playing with cards that don't have a guaranteed outcome. Happens to me all the time, and I like to recognize it when it happens to my opponents, just as kind of a way to make sure that I evaluate cards correctly and not just see every time they hit and go, oh, that's absolutely absurd. Which, when it hits, yeah, some of those cards are absolutely absurd. The downside to them is that they do have a fail state. Kind of like this deck, for instance. Alright, let's see. I think I'm going to keep this. We have a Curious Obsession plus a flyer to put it on. We have a Seasoned Hollowblade and a Blade Master. I would like, once again, a way to kind of push through, but as it stands, I'm not embarrassed by this hand at all. Mono, ooh, goblins, worse. Okay. Not a matchup I like to see. But that's just in general. And a turn 1 Skirk Prospector does always mean there is that possibility you're just going to die on turn 3. If I had another land, I might have... No. I don't think there's any world I play the Core Skydiver there. Or Core Blade Master. Other formats talking. Let's see. I would like to get a Curious Obsession down on a double striker, but I think that would just be me being greedy against a deck that can pump out as many blockers as they need. I'm a little nervous about if they don't tap out here. Well, no matter what they do, I'm a bit nervous. If they do this, then there's the potential of a Muxus and a kill next turn. If they had done something else, I'd be nervous they might have a Gem Palm Incinerator. Honestly, I'm just concerned by whatever a Goblins player does. Technically, they could still have the Gem Palm here. I would just be much more happy about it if they had to sacrifice a creature instead of just tapping 2 lands. What do I draw? Absolutely take action. Not the worst draw. Could have definitely had better ones though. Is this the... Oh. Thank God, that's only a lord. I'm only in severe danger. I'm gonna draw my card before I settle on just deploying a Core Blade Master and using it to block. Might go for Hollow Blade instead. Yeah, I think that means to me that I'm gonna deploy the Blade Master here. I'll only be using it to block a token, but I do have the upside of Curious Obsessioning onto it if I need to, or if I potentially draw a hammer doing some crazy things. Downside, however, is that a pumping Goblin Lord does leave me in a pretty bad spot. I'm gonna block the Chieftain. Does that leave me dead? Only in spirit. And I'm going to dive down to protect my Blade Master, because if I draw a hammer, I technically have a way out of this. Because I could, after the first hit, draw the Resolute Strike and have game. So playing to a small but very real out. On the other hand, if I were to try and play this a little more conservatively, a little safer, I could... No, I don't think there's any way out of this otherwise. And that's not a hammer, so I don't think I can actually win. Alright, let's see. I attack them for 3 in the air. 3, I could hit them for 7 damage at most. If I draw 2 Resolute Strikes, that doesn't go up high enough because I'd have already used up the first strike damage and go on to the double strike. If I play 2 creatures, I get to block, 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 take 2. Depends on my opponent's hand. I don't think I win this without drawing more cards though, so I'm going to count on one of them being a non-shockland. I think my odds are just so slim, and I need to draw so many cards here that I've kind of got to take the risk. The only good thing I can say is we know our opponent doesn't have a big payoff card, or they'd have definitely played it instead of another Goblin Lord last turn. And we will take both actions. Not what we wanted. Something we'd have much rather had earlier, but let's see. So that'd put us to 6, 1, 2. Yeah, that's fine. Staggering Insight on our Double Striker. Actually, no, that doesn't actually save us because our opponent has a sack outlet. Oops. My mistake. Maybe they don't realize it and don't attack. Was always the hope. And they saw it. I was going to say, one of the cards I wanted to draw last turn was actually Staggering Insight, because going Staggering Insight onto this plus the Curious Obsession would help me gain 6 life, and that'd be quite a bit better than blocking and gaining 2. It would be an effective 2 extra life if I had gained the life in the first place. And anyway, on to one of our last 2 games here. I do like this hand. We have an unblockable creature, a couple of Curious Obsessions. We do have a dive down for protection. It might not be the fastest, but it's definitely got the potential to draw into the combo in time to win the game with it. I might conceal that we're white, although that does change immediately if I draw any card that would let me win with... Oh, maybe not, if they get to see it anyway. Yep, they already saw a white source, no point in hiding it. I'm going to play the more expensive one that will be pumped by playing the Mistcloaked or Thieving Skydiver. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage coming at me very fast. No blocks, can't win if I do. Just really hoping for a Staggering Insight. We'll hit them for 4 and block something. That's for sure. Alright. If we had a land, I'd be a lot happier about where we are right now, being able to, oh, and that's just game. I was going to say we could Shadow Spear up the River Sneak and Core Blade Master, completely turn the tide of this. Having a 4/4 double striking lifelink threat would really go a long way to making everything our opponent was doing completely irrelevant, but drew the Shadow Spear a little bit late there to make that plan. And here is the last game. Hope now you see why I have such a low rank despite playing so much. I have to play all these jank builds, and sometimes in testing they go a lot better than they do in the videos. Sometimes they go a lot worse. But I've already committed, so I'm a big fan of this hand. Hammer, we have a hammer, we have a warrior, we have a Curious Obsession and a dive down, and we have the mana to do all of it. I'll definitely keep that. You know, Temple of Enlightenment. Don't need another hammer. Thank you very much. Ornithopter. Uh-oh. I'll get down my prospective attacker here. Think I'd prefer a Shadow Spear. No, I am very wrong. I'd prefer a way to not have to deal with this very, very quickly. I was thinking this might have been the, I was thinking this was a different deck. I forgot about the Lurrus. Now, I would say here what I want the most is a way to absolutely end my opponent as quickly as possible. Imagine this gets Thopter blocked. Or they let me draw a card. If only kicker could be 0. I would definitely have stolen their Ornithopter there. Now you have the Resolute or Staggering Insight. Thinking of my deck, not theirs. If only they had suited up the Ornithopter. Oh, how sweet that would have been. Take a bunch of damage. Go to our turn. Well, I sure would enjoy a way to equip that hammer, but doesn't appear to be one right now. Attempt to draw another card, definitely get blocked here. So now we have an interesting choice. Do we take the Ornithopter to use as a blocker and have a flyer of our own to use as a blocker? Or do we attempt to slow them down via Thieving Skydiver equipping the hammer? I think I'm just going to equip the hammer. A little risky. Actually, doing that does mean they stop attacking, meaning we don't get to get through. I'm going to take the Ornithopter. They don't have trample yet. And I feel the need to continue drawing cards, so slowing them down is going to be a little bit better accomplished via blocks. Oof. I can still get a win here, even with their absolutely gargantuan life total and creature. Also very glad I didn't just equip hammer. It wouldn't have been anywhere near big enough. Alright, now I'm going to need a little bit more to get a win. Throw the Ornithopter under the bus. Curious Obsession once again. Play the Blade Master. Attack with just Hollow Blade. Get that sweet, sweet card draw going. Shadow Spear isn't the worst. It definitely isn't the best, however. So let's see what they do. We'll simply block. I think we can do this if we draw the Resolute Strike. It won't win, but it will allow us to gain enough life that I think we'd have had a pretty good shot there. Alas, we'll have to settle for merely drawing a bunch of cards and gaining some life back. I will attack with both, as I do not plan on blocking with Core Blade Master. And every point of damage here is going to matter tremendously. I can play a Seasoned Hollowblade here too. Yeah, I think I'll play the... I think if I... No. If I play the Seasoned Hollowblade, they're not just going to stop attacking with their core. It gains them a tremendous amount of life every turn. And does put a pretty real amount of pressure on my life total. And my resources. And again, I do think it might be correct to stop me from continuing my attacks. And we'll discard one of our Skydivers, as they're not going to do anywhere near enough here. When did they gain double strike? Uh-oh. That is a massive problem. And so we will deal with it the only way we know how. Completely ignoring it and just hoping for the best. Gain 14 life, draw 3 cards. Well, 6 cards, I should say. Still no way to equip the hammer. And it is getting further and further away from a time where the hammer will still matter. I guess I can take the Ornithopter's another blocker again. But I think I'm going to try and just put more bodies on the board. Yep, just put more bodies down is the best I can do. We will discard another Seasoned Hollowblade. Uh-oh. Looks like we will be stealing the Ornithopter after all. Especially if they continue to suit up. Although if they ever find a way to give Trample or Unblockable, we are in severely bad shape. Don't mind if you suit that up with all the cards you don't want me to have. In fact, I encourage it. Although this might become a race to see which of us decks out first. Go ahead and block there. Activate ability. Discard. I'll say another Coreblade Master. Absolutely gargantuan amounts of life gain going on here. Oh, it has first strike. Okay. I was worried it had double strike and didn't see any possible way for me to get out of that. I think this will actually be a pretty good game to end it on. This is quite fun to play, at least. I don't know how it is to watch. And so we will drop a Mist-Cloaked Herald. Grow our sneaks. Steal the Ornithopter. Grow the sneaks again. I think this game is actually going to require multiple hammer equips. So I'm just going to start acting as if I'm going to draw what I need to equip the hammer multiple times, and swing in with that Hollow Blade. Oh yes, it has Vigilance now, I forgot. Oops. Also, I didn't attack with the sneaks. I guess I'm really starting to feel the fatigue from, well, 108 versus 49 life. We have his shot here, but it's really not looking very likely. And I do think it is getting more likely by the second that we win by decking. Although that does mean at some point we will have to stop drawing extra cards, which will likely spell the death of us. Especially because... oh, is that unblockable? Yep, that is the end of this game. Well, we had quite a while where being able to equip a hammer there would have made a significant change in the outcome of this game. Having that be a 17 power double striking creature would have been able to push through a lot more damage than we were able to. However, that is all we have time for. I hope you enjoyed the game. If you did, However, that is all we have time for. I hope you enjoyed the games, and if you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me exactly why in that comment. Anyway, that's all we have time for. If you liked the games, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.